auditing system, auditing process. Okay, we have the terms of reasonable assurance, where the auditor, okay, the reason for one of the reason for this term stated in the ISA is because the auditor will not perform 100%, test on the uh, on the population. Okay, not perform 100% test on the entire population. So, and normally the auditor will based on audit sampling. Okay, but now since there is a big data analytics, so they try to quantity of data has increased, and it's become more and more necessary to evolve ways of processing. And then what is actually the ADA? Okay, the introduction of big data, okay, routines has the potential to revolutionize the audit process. So current ISAs are based on the risk management approach to audit. So this is what we learn now on the current ISA, whereby the auditor does not test 100%. So as I said just now, the auditor is not based on 100% test on the entities transaction, but instead focuses on audit work on the riskiest area. Okay, so remember, when we are not test on the 100%, we start to find the risk audit area. So auditor focus on the risk audit area to perform the test. And normally the test also will not based on the 100% population. Okay. So that is a risk assessment procedure under ISA. Risk assessment procedure. So how you respond to the risk? Okay, you have the overall response. Okay, where you perform the test of control and the substantive test. Okay, and it also based on the sampling. Okay, but now when they're having the big data analytics, okay, big data analytics, okay, the big data analytics offer the chance of examining all of entity's data. This could eventually revolutionize the way audits are conducted, together with the approach advocated by auditing standards. So this is the evolve, okay, atau perkembangan, okay, evolving in the audit procedure or audit test. Okay, what is how it started? It will initially involve significant cost on the part of the auditor and extensive training. So you must go for training. However, it could offer auditor the ability to examine all of an entity data. So this is the gist, okay, of the data analytic. Offer auditors ability to examine all, okay, all of an entity data and test entire population. This in turn should improve both audit efficiency and audit quality. So this is to avoid audit risk. Okay, audit risk where the auditor issue incorrect or inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statement are materially misstated. So why? What is the sources of that risk? maybe because the auditor does not gather sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So why? Maybe they base on the audit sampling. They do not test 100% of the population. That is the result. Audit risk might be increased. Okay, but then now the data analytic offer the auditor to avoid such risk. Yes, in fact, they can avoid also the detection risk. Okay, detection risk. Okay, because detection risk, remember the risk where the auditor use inappropriate audit procedures, and the sources of the risk is maybe because of the sampling risk, and non-sampling risk. Okay, so here when they have a chances to test all the entity data and test the entire population, so it might reduce the sampling risk. Okay, they might reduce sampling risk lah sebab there is no more sample taken. Okay, the auditor test the entire population. And then this in turn should improve both efficiency. Large quantities of data can be interrogated relatively quickly, okay, allowing auditor to focus immediately on the riskiest areas. So no need for them to find which one is the risky area, which one is not the risky area, by performing the test of control first and then substantive test later and so on. Because as I said earlier tadi, the auditor can embed, the system, in the client's accounting system, from the beginning of the year until at the end of the year, before they come for the final audit year. Okay, so that is the advantages of having the data analytics. And then how about the evidence obtained? You might obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to reduce audit risk. And it should be noted that initial costs will not necessarily be recouped, as existing staff can instead deploy professional skepticism and judgment when reviewing data analytics, thus avoiding adding more value to the audit process. So here, when you use the 100% test on the entire population, you plus with the professional skepticism and plus with the judgment, you might have better result for your audit opinion. You might gather sufficient appropriate audit evidence with the high quality. So it will reduce the audit risk. Example how auditor might use data analytics include analyze pattern. Analyze pattern relating to revenue, of course, per product or per customer. Analyze pattern. So you go to this one pattern. Page sorry, not this one. This one. Page 18. What is it mean by pattern? Pattern. So this is what we talked just now on the data analytics. It helps focus the effort on the area of greatest risk, and then they can also perform what if analysis. Analytic ni dia macam-macam lah. What if analysis, and then can form initial hypothesis and so on. So I nak tengok pattern ni, mana pattern ni? Audit software can be used to interrogate a company's data files and identify data patterns associated with fraud. So pattern ni Okay, normally, okay, it's come from the routine transaction in the company. Okay, pattern such as negative, okay, pattern, what is actually um, performed, okay, by the company in their accounting system. Okay, so patterns such as negative entries in inventory, receipt bill, voided transaction followed by no sale or high percentage of returns item may indicate fraudulent activity. So pattern to itself can create fraudulent activity without knowing by the auditor. Okay, auditor can use this data pattern to develop fraud profile early in their review of operation. So you must detect early in the review of your company operation. Pattern can function as auditor specified criteria and transaction fitting the fraud profile can trigger auditor review. So when you audit the company using the tax data ataupun the generalized audit software, okay, audit software generalized, not custom, generalized audit software, you must able first to determine what is the pattern in the company. Okay, because from that pattern, okay, you will test using the which one having a pattern, okay, you must perform 100% test. Okay, you must perform 100% test. So that is the meaning of okay, mana tadi? This one. Okay, you analyze pattern. So that is the meaning of analyze pattern relating to revenue, cost per product or per customer. So that are the pattern that built up by the company itself. So when you use the data analytics, so you might perform 100% test on that pattern. Okay, because pattern ni yang selalu akan create fraud. Okay, when the company know your audit routine. Okay, pattern ni sebab sama, so your audit routine sama. So when you perform the same audit routine or audit procedures, so management able to avoid that pattern. Macam able to manipulate the pattern. So when you analyze pattern relating to revenue or cost of per product or per customer, so you can perform 100% test on that using the data analytics. Trace the matching of orders to good dispatch or good receipt documentation and to the invoice in order to determine whether revenue and cost should be recognized. So trace the matching of orders. So this is another example how the auditor use analytic data. And interrogate journal to determine whether there are any patterns regarding yang negative pattern tadi, regarding who has processed certain journal where fraud is suspected. Okay, because management is very smart since you not in the beginning process of the information. Okay, sebab you tak terlibat dalam keseluruhan transaksi perniagaan tersebut. So means you only come there to interrogate certain things. So you have to look at in terms of the pattern, okay, in terms of the your knowledge about the client business. Your knowledge, sebab itu walaupun even though you perform the audit using the computerized system, okay, you still need to understand the business and industry. And then advantages of using other analytical audit data analytics. Okay, auditor will have ability to examine all of the entity data and test entire population, reduce sampling risk. Interrogate large quantities of data relatively quickly. Okay, more thorough understanding of the entity and its environment. That's what I said just now. Okay, and then the use of audit data analytics software will of course initially involve significant cost on the part of the auditor and excessive training. So other limitation, okay, auditor need to have a clear understanding of the data they are analyzing. There is a risk that the data analyzed is not actually relevant to the audit because you perform 100% test, yes, it is lesser time taken because you are using the software. But maybe the result or the data that you are testing is not relevant. So it's not relevant means that you are not still accumulate sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Relevant ni refer to appropriate audit evidence. Appropriate audit evidence. It should not be thought that in the future, auditors are able to test 100% of our population. The auditor's opinion could provide more than just reasonable assurance. It cannot because professional judgment is always involved. Okay, and then both counting estimate and quantitative disclosure require professional judgment. Okay, and then although technology can help obtain evidence, auditors and stakeholders should not become overconfident in the technology. So what does it mean? Okay, this is what the argument, okay, on the item of reasonable assurance, because when under ISA, it states that the auditor gives the appropriate, okay, what are the objective of an audit? Okay, auditor give the audit opinion based on the audit work performed, that the financial statement are presented with true and fair view, and the auditor give reasonable assurance. Okay, the auditor on the basis of giving reasonable assurance. So why still use the word reasonable assurance even though okay, auditor perform 100% test? Okay, it because the auditor still use the judgment and skepticism while conducting the audit. Okay, especially when come to the accounting estimate and qualitative disclosure. So qualitative disclosure, contoh dia apa? In case of company are sued by the client, in terms of the whether they are adjusting event or non-adjusting event, whether they are going to gain or whether they are going to lose. So that is based on the estimation. Okay, so apa lagi? And based on their judgment. So that's why auditors still provide this term, reasonable assurance plus with the judgment and skepticism in giving the opinion on the financial statement. Okay, so any question on the data analytics? Ada soalan, Brad?
No.
Senyap je you only know. So can you get what you have learned today? What you learned today is on kita belajar tiga benda. One is KSCAAT as a whole, and then second, audit software for testing the substantive tests, and test data for the test of information control, and the last one is data analytics. Okay, data analytics. So I give you 5 minutes for you to summary, because after this I will give you the short exercises. Okay, this is like macam apa tu quiz, apa tu spot quiz lah. Okay, you can read by this topic only. On the computer audit, automated tools and technique. So after this I will give the question.